many of the backbone organizations that are working in our communities are financially insolvent. They're in the communities working every day. They are helping provide senior care, and there's a senior hearing actually going on right now behind us. They're providing child care services. They're providing pre-K services. They're doing mental health services. They're dealing with the opioid crisis. You name it, they're in the communities, and they're working with individuals and families and trying to make everyone a strong, healthy, vibrant city. And yet, they themselves as institutions are struggling. And for what reason? It doesn't make any sense. It is a crisis that is going on. It's been going on in the city for too long. We've been talking to the mayor about it, and he has failed us. He has not included enough funding in the budget to support those CBOs throughout the entire city. And we've had enough of it. So we're here today to say, put the $106 million into the budget negotiation conversation now. Make sure that it ends up in the fiscal year's budget. And we are thankful to the council who has understood this dynamic and it has put this $106 million into play. Let's make this the year of the CBO. Let's make sure that we talk to the de Blasio administration and push him to make sure that this is part of the discussion. And I want to thank all the council members that are standing with us here today. Again, we have to make sure that the CBOs are solvent, strong institutions so they can continue to serve our communities and so that New York City can continue to be a vibrant city where everyone can reach their full potential and that we have well-being standards that are substantial in this city of New York. So thank you all for being here today. And I want to thank all of the CBOs who are not in their communities today, but here on the steps of City Hall where they shouldn't have to be. But thank you for being here, for fighting for this money, because you know how important it is and how important it is to the city of New York. So for the first speaker I want to introduce is my good friend, Councilmember Helen Rosenthal, who has been a champion on this issue from the days when she started in the council as chair of the Contracts Committee. She has continued the fight all along. She deeply understands this issue, and I want to thank her for being here and being such a strong champion for the CBO community.
So we have the Human Services Council here, the umbrella organization. But tell me, shout out the name of the organizations who are here today.
Canva!
SCO, Family of Services. Jacob Resettlement.
Thank you. Look behind us. These are the individuals who take care of 2.5 million New Yorkers. 2.5 million New Yorkers. So when we want to say we're the fairest city in the country, when we want to say that we're addressing the economic divide, who is it that we're calling on to do that work? It's all of the organizations behind us. We're asking them to do that work, and we thank you for doing that work. But you can't do your job if you don't have enough money to run the center that's providing that work. If you can't pay for rent increases, if you can't pay for food, if you can't pay for janitorial services, cleaning services, if you can't pay for the basic services that keep your operation open, then you can't do your job. It means we're cutting programs. It means we're not taking care of 2.5 million New Yorkers, which is the city's both obligation to do, but it is the promise that we make to a quarter of New Yorkers here in the city. A quarter of our population is what these organizations serve, and yet we're failing them year after year by squeezing these organizations. And I'll tell you, the insanity and the irony of this administration saying to you, let's calculate what your true overhead costs are. Why don't you spend hours figuring out the math of your indirect costs or what your true overhead is? We're only going going to pay you 10%, but why don't you take the time to figure out what it is, and then we'll pay you 10%. Who runs an organization with 10% overhead? There is no one that runs an organization with 10% overhead because it can't be done. Woo! So asking, it cannot be done. And the deceit in asking you to calculate the right number. Take the time, here's the model, here's the analytics for how to calculate the right number. Oh, and by the way, we're never going to fund it. That's great. Your number is 17%. Your number is 21%. Your number is 18%. Here's 10%. That's what you get, 10%. That is disingenuous. You cannot say that you're taking care of 2.5 million New Yorkers and fund these organizations 80% of what they need. The city is shortchanging these organizations, and it has to stop. It has to stop this year. And the city council, it's Speaker Johnson, it's the budget negotiating team. We have your back, and we're going to meet. And this is pathetic and sad, but I'm going to tell you, we are going to make it damn sure that we get you up to 12%.
Why not 15?
Why not 15? Why not 15? Because it costs $250 million, and the mayor has said absolutely not. Absolutely not 15%. And when we said, how about 12? And he said maybe. So now we're fighting for 12. You're right, Councilmember Perkins.
15%!
15%!
15%!
15%! And this is why contracts are sexy. So you guys keep on doing the amazing work you do, but we're going to make sure that you're not having to do it with not just one arm tied behind your back, not just two arms tied behind your back, but two arms and a leg, and that's outrageous. That's outrageous. So thank you for standing here with us today. I'm actually going into a budget hearing so we can slam the administration for not doing this. Thank you, Human Services Council.
Thank you. All right.
Fighting on this issue for so long, and I agree with the 15%, obviously, and 250 million. 15%.
What percent?
15%.
What percent?
15%.
15%!
15%. Well, so I want to just bring up Councilmember Perkins right now to talk about his support for the CBO community, because you have been a staunch supporter of our community as well, and I really appreciate the fact that I think $250 million should be a drop in the bucket compared to what these organizations are actually delivering. At this point, $106 million is on the table, but really, $250 is what we need to get to that 15%, and that's, again, a small fraction of the overall budget. And I think given all of the work that these organizations are doing to lift up communities and make sure that they are strong, vibrant, and all have good well-being measures, it's nothing. $250 million is nothing compared to the overall budget, which is billions and billions of dollars. So, Councilmember Perkins, come on up here and show us
I look around and some would suggest that the greatness of this city is those buildings, those tall brick and mortar edifices of wealth. But the reality is that the flesh and blood that's behind us, that's representing the larger community in general, is what the real wealth of this city is. And if we don't support that, then we are basically turning this city into a slum, and into a heartless city, and into a place that is not the giant that these buildings represent, but rather something much smaller than that. So we have a mission, we have a responsibility to make sure that this budget, that this initiative is moved as aggressively and as quickly as possible to set the tone for where we want this city to go from today on. This cannot be just a city of great buildings and great statues. It's a city of great individuals, great human beings who are trying to do something for their families and for their communities. And we're here to make sure that that's going to happen in the budget today and the budgets that come in the future. Thank you so much.
Neighborhoods of these individuals behind me, these community-based organizations that are there every day, have been grown out of the community and are working in those communities. And I'm grateful that the city actually contracts with these. They recognize the expertise, but they need to stop short-changing them. Enough is enough. Okay. Councilmember Eugene, thank you for being such a great supporter and friend to our community. Come on over.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Mathieu. Eugene, the council member who represents District 48 Grouping. I am so delighted to be here. And let me start by saying, from the bottom of my heart, on my behalf and on behalf of all New Yorkers, thank you to all of you for what you're doing for New York City. Because you are making New York City, what we say all the time, the best city in the world. Right. I'd like to sign, hold by my colleagues, save our community. Come on, save our communities. 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 There's another one that I love also. Healthy institutions equal healthy community. Let's say healthy institutions equal healthy communities. Healthy institutions equal healthy communities. Let me tell you the reason I love this side. This is true. I know what you are going through as community-based organizations. We in government, of course we have the funding. Of course we have the power to create laws. But the people who are making our city better, they are those people who are working in the CBOs. Because every single day you are providing services, critical services, to the people that we're supposed to serve. And our responsibility is to train you, to support you, and give you the funding that you need to continue to provide those critical services to our New Yorkers. I know firsthand what I'm talking about. Before I was elected, I was on the other side too. I created a non-for-profit organization, a community-based organization called YES, Youth for Education and Sport. We were doing a wonderful job preventing the young people going to the negative path. We were doing a wonderful job helping the parents educate their children, especially the immigrant people. You know, New York is not easy. But because of non-for-profit organizations, CBOs, people who are living in New York have a better life. The organization I was leading was able to save many children, many families. And to make it short, the best reward that I can receive in my life is when I'm walking in the street, a father or a mother comes to me and says, your son is in the university. Your daughter is a doctor now. Your son is an attorney. You know who are my son and my daughters? The young people who used to be in my organization. But guess what? Some of the time, we didn't have enough funding to provide the services to pay the people who are helping us. Because the people who are working in the CBO, they got to pay their bill too. They got to put food on their table. They got to pay for the roof over their head. If we don't do that, if we don't help them do that, the organization won't be able to maintain. I remember some of the time when I didn't have the money to pay for the bills, I had to go to my wife and say, honey, you got to help me. And to lend me some money because I got to pay the bill. Call it this one wait. The gas company won't wait. The landlord won't wait. If you don't pay, they're going to kick you out. They're going to cut the services. So in order for you to continue to provide those critical services, the administration, the city should give you the money that you need, not for yourself, but to provide the services. And let me conclude by saying that I didn't know if I was going to become a city council member. And I'm talking many years before I was elected. But those young people who were in my organization, many of them, they became professionals. Some of them, they are working with me as staff members of the city council. Can you believe that? And among them, this is one of them. But I'm saying that to let you know, to remind you, you are serving the children, you are serving the community, you are serving New York City. And I pledge to join my colleagues and Speaker Johnson to fight for you and order for you to receive the resources that you need. Save our communities!
Save our communities! Save our communities! Save our communities! Save our communities!
Thank you so much. Thank you. And of course, now I have the great honor to introduce our new chair of the Contracts Committee with wearing
No peace! No procurement, no peace! No procurement, no peace!
Come on in, Mathieu.
Thank you. I love this shirt, and there will be no peace. I'm City Council Member Ben Kallos. I'm co-chair of the New York City Progressive Caucus with my colleague, Councilmember Diana Ayala. We're joined here by Councilmember Perkins, another one of our members, and the Progressive Caucus and almost the majority of the City Council stand with you today. I made a little trouble when it came to affordable housing. I wanted to make sure that people were actually getting paid a living wage, that minorities and women were actually getting a slice of the pie when they're building affordable housing, giving developers millions and millions of dollars, and we uncovered very, very high subsidies, the likes of which none of you have ever seen. And now we're going to be focused on $15 billion in contracts. That is a huge percentage of the city budget. And when the city does things, we do it through contracts. I want to ask Greg Mars to come up here because he is one of my community-based organizations. He's got the Stanley Isaac Center. Is Stanley Isaac's in the house? The work that we're able to do through our contracts is so pivotal. We have a senior center that serves hundreds of folks. It gives people cohesion, and it keeps people out of nursing homes, and that would cost us more than $15,000 a month just in Medicaid costs, but we spend pennies on the dollar compared to that to help our seniors provide meals every single day of the year. I see Greg on Thanksgiving, I see him on Christmas. It's the work that we do. We also have a youth center at Isaac's. We're able to get folks who might otherwise be at-risk youth out of the schools to prison pipeline, and every year we're there to give scholarships and see these kids off to college, and it doesn't end there. I see Merville Reagan. I don't know if she'll come down, but working with her to make sure that all the folks can actually achieve self-sufficiency and get people the services they need. And those dollars don't come through contracts, but it's you as providers that are getting people the access to those hunger benefits. I will tell you that my district is the worst in the district, according to Live On. 91% of the seniors who qualify for food assistance in my district don't get it. And that's leaving over, I think, somewhere around $2 billion in federal dollars on the table. And if we brought that in, that could, just the taxes on those alone, between the sales tax and the income taxes and you name it, would be enough to fund all of your organizations and double your budgets, and we need to keep on doing it. And so the City Council has put in over $100 million, and we need to keep that in the budget and make sure that the mayor comes to the table and funds our human service organizations. And I'll just say it ain't over yet. We still have to get through the executive budget, and I hope to come out with you, keep fighting with each and every one of your organizations until we get you the funding that you need, and look into every single one of those contracts to make sure you're getting paid early and on time, and that we're actually paying full value for all the services.
Thank you to our new contract chair. I want to make sure I thank the Progressive Caucus for really being behind this and showing that this is a progressive value. This is a progressive value. And so somebody who wants to be a progressive mayor, progressive president, you got to make sure that you're investing in the CBO community. Okay, so let's hear from some of the CBOs. We have Wayne Ho with me from CPC. Come on up, Wayne.
How's everyone doing? I know Councilmember Rosenthal said contracts is sexy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say y'all sexy. Great to see real New Yorkers here together, fighting together. I'm Wayne Ho, President and CEO of the Chinese American Planning Council. CPC, we are the nation's largest Asian American social services nonprofit, and we serve over 60,000 New Yorkers per year throughout all 51 city council districts. And I have something I need to admit. I am tired. I am really, really tired that year in, year out, we come here and say the same damn thing about indirect.
Yes.
I'm sure the council members are tired of having our meetings on this. I'm sure the committees are tired of hearing about it. My wife is tired of hearing about it. We talk about indirect when we're trying to have dinner. I'm tired. But more importantly, I am tired that the city of New York tells me that I need all my contracts notarized, but they don't give me indirect funding to hire accountants to support me. I am tired that the city of New York tells me that I need to have certain types of toilets in my early childhood centers, but they don't give me indirect funding to hire a plumber to fix them. I am tired of the city of New York telling me that I need to use a new curriculum in my adult education programs, but they don't give me indirect funding to pay for new curriculum. I am tired of the city of New York telling me at which time and at which temperature I need to make sure that my home delivered meals get to my community members, but they don't give me indirect funding to fix my vans. And our mission at CPC is to promote the social and economic empowerment of New York's most vulnerable communities. But I didn't know that the city of New York was a vulnerable community, because it seems like the only economic empowerment I'm doing is supporting the city of New York, because I don't get my contracts registered on time, so I am borrowing $3 million from my bank in order to make payroll on time. I have to pay $157,000 a year on interest, and that supports the city of New York because they keep the money and it doesn't go to me or my employees. I am tired of having to pay interest when the city of New York doesn't make that an expense that I can get reimbursed for. And more importantly, I am tired that I am not able to give my staff the raises that they deserve when day in, day out, they are doing what the city of New York should be doing, which is supporting the most vulnerable in our communities. $106 million for indirect doesn't sound sexy, but it will make such a difference to the organizations that are making a difference in the lives of children, youth, immigrants, adults, seniors, families across generations. And that's why now is the time for us not just to fight for the $106 million, we want to get to the 15% that we need in indirect, because indirect is about people, indirect is about institutions, indirect is about communities. If during this time we talk about priorities, I want to see this mayoral administration prioritize us, the sexy people of New York.
Healthy institutions equal healthy communities. Healthy institutions equal healthy communities. That's exactly his message. And now I want to bring up Lisa David from Public Health Solutions. Hi.
I'm Lisa David, CEO of services in every borough in low-income and immigrant communities to help young families get a good start and be able to achieve their potential. We provide access to food and nutrition, health insurance, maternal health programs, early childhood development, reproductive health. We run the smoke-free work, tobacco control work in New York City. And I just want to say what everybody's been saying about the significance of indirects is absolutely true, and it has consequences because PHS has personally lived through those. So we had to close 2 years ago our largest program, which was an early intervention service coordination program serving 7,000 families a year, which we've been doing for 24 years. And the reimbursement was so poor, it wasn't paying any indirects, and we wound up having to close that. The level of disruption for the families involved, the level of disruption for the 100 staff members that I had been employing was extraordinary, and it was expensive. So this government is living off our backs and not doing what they need to be doing so that we can actually work to promote better equity in this city and serve those families who can make it out and with a little bit of help. But it's killing our organizations. All of us borrow money to make payroll. All of us have to figure out how to juggle which bills to pay at which time. It is no way to live. And none of us should have staff making salaries that make them eligible for the benefits that they're providing other people. That's just not right. So we want the 106 million. We need 250 million. Let's go out there and show.
Next, I want to introduce Clinton. Come on up, Clinton Bryant. He's the director of SEO Preventive Services. So thank you so much for being here. And so
My
much
pleasure.
what you do in communities. Come on
My
up,
pleasure.
Clinton.
Good morning, everyone. Community-based organizations are the backbone of New York City. Are the ones that see the most vulnerable of New York. They're the towering structures. They're up too high to look down on those who really need help. And we walk with them every single day. As I said, my name is Clinton Bryant, and I am the program director for SEO Family Services, Preventive Services in Jackson Heights and Corona, Queens. I want to first thank the City Council who come out to stand with us. Because I hear the passion that goes into the voices as going in to have the discussion with the administration who sits down to start juggling the numbers. And when we start juggling the numbers, we have to be conscious of who is being impacted by those. And a lot of times, the power and the position overshadows the need. So we want to make sure that they identify what the challenges are. We provide services, as we said, to the most vulnerable in New York. Students who are not able to operate in traditional high schools, our transfer schools are having to give up their regular internships that would permit students to be able to do workforce development so that they can start to thrive and move into career-based opportunities. Early childhood suffers because many of the parents who drop off their children sometimes need to volunteer in order to help to make sure that those services are provided to children. We have to be very conscious of those who are on the street daily who get walked past as though they're invisible. We provide the homeless services that many of the homeless of New York need in order to come in from the cold and to be able to get a nourishing meal. We are the backbone of New York City, and we need $250 million. That's what we need. And we're settling for $106 million. So should we settle? No! We should be asking for what we need, and what we should be settling for is what we asked for. We should ask for the 15%. That's what we should be fighting for. 15%. 15%.
15%. 15%. 15%.
Community-based organizations, SCO Family of Services, are the very ones who need the support to make sure that services continue to happen in New York City. We need those funds, and we're asking for them today. All of us together, 15%.
15%. 15%. 15%.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the hard work you do in communities every day. Okay, now our closer here is Mr. Chris Hanway, who's from Jacob Riis Settlement. And I'm going to bring him on up.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the year of the CBO. And we are not going to stop until this year it becomes the year of the CBO. Is that right? Yes. So as you heard, my name is Chris Hanway, and I'm the Executive Director of Jacob A. Riis Neighborhood Settlement, a multi-service settlement house that has been working in the public housing communities in Western Queens since 1950 and has existed in this city since 1890. I'm going to be brief today because we're at the end, but I want to tell you that settlement house history, that rich history, that connection to community of which we are so proud is seriously at risk if something doesn't change, and it doesn't change now. The continued chronic underfunding of community-based organizations that takes form in so many ways, such as contracts that don't come close to covering the true cost of the programs we provide. Is that right?
Right!
Chronically, pathetically late contract registration and repayment on contracts. Is that right?
Right!
Well-meaning but poorly designed unfunded mandates. Is that right?
Right!
And an unwillingness to invest in an indirect rate that allows organizations like Resettlement to pay for insurance, administrative staff, living wage salaries, and vital repairs and maintenance. Is that right?
Right!
I mean this. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. This is not posturing. This is not drama. All of these things are converging to put hundreds of organizations like mine at existential risk. Who will suffer? Well, at Resettlement, over 160 staff members from the community will suffer. Overwhelmingly low-paid people of color will suffer. Do we need more of that in our city?
No!
Our community will suffer because they'll be at risk of losing a neighborhood cornerstone that has served as an anchor for 60 years. Does that sound right to you?
No!
And most of all, the thousands of children, youth, families, immigrants, and young people and seniors who come through our doors every single year will suffer. I thank the Progressive Council. I thank the council leaders who are here today. And I thank the full council who have stepped forward. And now I urge, I implore, I demand the mayor and the administration to do the same. The time is now, not next year, not 5 years from now. The time is now. This is the year of the CBO. Thank you for listening.
I just want to ask if there's any questions for anybody that's in the press. Okay, let's just close with a quick chant. Hey, hey, ho, ho, support our CBOs. Hey, hey,
Ho ho! Support our CBOs! Hey hey!